Exotic beasts invade and powers awaken. The starry sky is full of countless tribes, and there is no absolute slave seal. Even if I die, I will never bow down to you. Ridiculous deity, if you give me another 2 years, I will definitely make that divine blood-stained starry sky. Chapter 1. Despair. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blue Star Flame Country Capital. As the main battlefield of the Blue Star human race and exotic beasts, in this capital city, apart from the ruins and corpses of human powerhouses and exotic beasts, how could there be such a prosperous city? In the void, the last powerful emperor of the human race, the Ice Emperor, was pierced through his delicate body by a blow from a deity in the starry sky outside the Blue Star. Her eyes also lost their expression. Emperor, they all fell. The strong human race watched in despair as the Emperor's body fell into the Cloud City, while the deity outside the Blue Star was jokingly watching this scene. It's all over. A strong human had no fighting spirit to attack the monster in front of him anymore. He let the monster bite his body, lost, and murmured. Many strong men are like this, but these strange beasts stopped attacking when they stopped fighting, and they watched them intently. And at this moment, not far away, a young man wearing a black windbreaker, looking around 20 years old, shot through the head of a lizard-like, 100-meter-old emperor beast at his feet. This imperial beast has also lost its vitality. This imperial beast, like the 4 top experts of the human race, is in the imperial realm, but this young man is clearly not. At this moment, all the imperial realms in the exotic beasts also died, but the young man's face was not good looking. He looked at the emperor's body that had fallen into the clouds, and his face turned pale. There are only 4 powerful beings in the human race, and now the last one has also fallen. They have lost the capital to fight against the deity outside the Blue Star. Although those 4 did not die, they still remained so. No one expected that besides these exotic beasts, they would have to face the deity from the starry sky. This is no longer within their ability to deal with. The strong members of the human race are all desperate, it's impossible to fight. It was as strong as the Ice Emperor being played with by those gods for so long, but in the end, he killed the Ice Emperor with 1 strike because he was tired of playing. Even if exotic beasts began to invade 30 years ago, they did not despair as they do now. The strong members of the human race have all given up struggling, their eyes dim. This time, they really did their best. Only the young man, with a face full of unwillingness, pulled out his long spear and held it tightly. The gods in the starry sky arrived at the Blue Star, standing at the high altitude position where the Ice Emperor fell, holding cameras in their hands. This was what they obtained from the traitors of the human race, recorded from before the war until now. And this camera is used for live streaming, connecting to underground shelters and dimensional secret realms. The remaining humans, looking at the cracked screen on the shelter and seeing the body of the Ice Emperor fall into the clouds, were also desperate, and their eyes lost their radiance. This time, the human race is really finished. The full-body starry skin, yet able to clearly see its facial features, pointed ears, like the elves described in novels, are playfully watching human reactions. But when they saw the young man sitting on the corpse of the imperial beast in the distance, looking at them with a face of defiance and unwillingness, they were clearly stunned. They only chuckled when they reacted. In the next moment, the divine power was suppressed, and even the strong members of the human race could not withstand this divine power. They knelt down one after another, while some of the remaining ordinary people exploded due to their inability to withstand the divine power. But the young man did indeed ignore this divine power, his face remained unchanged, and he still stood straight there. This scene moved even the human powerhouses kneeling under the pressure of the gods in the distance. The gods looked at the young man in surprise. It was the first time they had seen a creature even weaker than them ignore the pressure from an existence higher than their own level of life. The human beings in front of us are obviously just ordinary beings, but they ignore the pressure of their divine ways. This makes these gods even more determined to plant the seal of slavery on this human being. The deity, led by him, looked at the young man with a mocking expression on his face. As he spoke, his majestic voice echoed throughout the entire blue star. Surrender or die, obediently let us plant the slave seal, you still have a future. The sound stunned humanity. The gods have put away their divine power, otherwise humans will die a lot, which is not what they want to see. The strong human race also climbed up from the ground and looked at the figure standing on the corpse of the imperial beast, which was neither humble nor arrogant. The humans in the shelter also looked at that figure in surprise. Compared to the terrifying deity, that figure was like a boat in a tsunami, faintly capable of capsizing at any moment. Is that the Gun King? The human powerhouse looked at the figure and murmured. Gun King, the fifth strongest of the human race. Without entering the imperial realm, he has the power to fight in the imperial realm, even stronger than 2 of the 4 powerful human beings in the imperial realm. Although awakening 2 years later than a normal person, it is the only case of dual ability awakening and also an S-gene warrior. At the age of only 21, it only took 3 years to achieve this kind of achievement, which is the first pride of the human race. However, even so, he is still a shame of the human race. He has a natural talent and is indeed a greedy and afraid person who refuses to save when facing death. He lacks patriotism and racial spirit, and is selfish. Don't be fooled by his participation in the war this time, it was the result of the Ice Emperor trading his body with him. The thought of the Empress, who had devoted her entire life to the human race and was unparalleled in glory, infuriated them as she traded her own cleanliness for this kind of participation in battle. But looking at the scene before them, they surprisingly still had the idea of hoping that the other party would not submit. Because if he were to submit, the human race would not even have the spark of hope, and only his talent would have hope. The Gun King's originally unwilling expression gradually changed. He smiled and asked, "Can you live by surrendering?" As soon as this sentence was spoken, the eyes of the strong human race completely lost their radiance. The deity also joked upon hearing this, of course. However, the Spear King did not continue to speak, while spiritual energy swept through his body, and black magic lines appeared on his skin. This is his ability as an S-level genetic warrior, the Night Fork. And this spiritual energy is the result of his ability to operate. His breath became increasingly terrifying, and the earth began to tremble. Upon seeing this scene, the eyes of the powerful human race members lit up again. Their faces were complex, obviously not expecting that this scumbag had not chosen to submit to life at this moment. Isn't he greedy for life and afraid of death? This is everyone's idea, even the gods are surprised. But they didn't stop it either. The ants struggled and couldn't hurt them. Looking at the Gun King on the screen, I don't know why, but at this moment, the humans in the shelter had inexplicable expectations. Although there was such a big difference in strength between the two sides, they just had expectations for the Gun King, and their eyes gradually lit up. Gun King, come on. I don't know who started it, but other survivors also shouted along, and even the Gun King on the battlefield could vaguely hear the sound. What a bunch of ants, how noisy. A deity waved his hand and wiped out the human who started shouting. Chapter 2. Chen regrets confession. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As soon as the deity finished speaking, he was glared at by the leading deity. Let them argue, that's it. If they kill us again, it will be in vain. That deity can only stop. Damn it. The Spear King naturally knew what the deity had done and angrily cursed. In the shelter, although the first human was wiped out, people did not feel any fear and stopped because of it. They were numb to it and only wanted to cheer for that figure. Among the strong members of the human race, the complex crowd looked at the powerful figure, and General Jun Nanzhu of the Flame Country said with firm eyes, "Everyone, I think we still have hope." Song Wujie, the awakened spatial superpower, said, "You stop them, I will send them off." After everyone finished discussing, they all walked towards the Gun King. The gods naturally heard their discussion, but did not prevent them from approaching the Gun King. Instead, they watched the scene with a playful expression. At this moment, the strong members of the human race planned to go all out and send this spark out of the blue star. In this way, there is still hope for humanity. They looked at death as if they were returning home. Jun Nanzhu, along with the human powerhouses, rushed towards the gods in the air, while Song Wujie teleported to the Spear King and grabbed him. "Stop it all for me." The Spear King dodged and shouted angrily as he looked at the powerful human race charging towards the gods. He kicked Song Wujie away, knocked him unconscious, and then continued to charge up. The strong members of the human race who rushed towards the gods were all suppressed by the gods with divine power. They looked at Song Wujie, who was unconscious, in surprise, and then at the Spear King in surprise. "Chen Hui, what are you doing? What are you doing in this situation now?" Jun Nanzhu angrily said. But when he saw the Gun King's unworthy expression, he was stunned. The Spear King continued to charge up, saying, "What do you want to do? You want to sacrifice yourself and let me escape, become the spark of the human race, and work hard to save them, right? But why? Why should I bear these things?" The human powerhouse looked at the Gun King with an incredulous expression, obviously not expecting him to say so. The Gun King continued, "I am a selfish person, and I can tell you very clearly that if you sacrifice yourself to let me escape, I will not go to save the human race, so it is not worth it." Speaking, his energy storage was basically completed, but this level was clearly not enough. A dark moon appeared behind him, the size of a basin. Moonlight kept spilling out from inside, onto the long spear in his hand. This is his second ability, the Dark Moon. This ability mainly includes auxiliary and mental attacks. Currently, mental attacks are obviously not enough, so he can only apply the auxiliary skills of Dark Moon to his first ability. And this spear is the product of his first ability and first skill. The first skill of his first ability is to condense his spear, and the second skill is his spear intent. The third skill is gun power, the fourth skill is gun soul, the fifth skill is gun body, the sixth skill is gun flash, and the seventh skill is embodied gun. The eighth skill mutated due to the influence of the Yiksha body, becoming the Yiksha mask. And these are all his first abilities. His second ability, Dark Moon, not only has 4 damage increasing skills, but also 4 mental attack skills, and his 8th skill is also influenced by the Yiksha body, becoming Yiksha armor. At this moment, the Dark Moon also stopped casting moonlight, and the entire moon transformed into moonlight attached to his body, forming the Yiksha armor. He also had a mask on his hand. The Gun King continued, "I am indeed very selfish, very greedy and afraid of death. When I encounter problems that I cannot solve on my own, I like to run away without caring." Speaking of which, 2 lines of clear tears streaked his cheeks, washing away a little of the blood stains on his face. "I really hate this feeling." The Spear King looked at the gods in the sky and said. The strong members of the human race fell silent, silently listening to the Gun King's account. "When Xue used her own body as a condition for me to participate in the war, really, ha ha ha. Did she see me as this kind of person in her eyes?" As he spoke, he looked at the mask in his hand, his body trembling, not in fear, but in excitement. At this moment, he was really excited because today, he was going to end his guilty life with this final battle. "I regret it, although I am greedy for life and afraid of death, I have my pride. Even if I die, I will not become a slave to anyone, and even gods cannot do it, as I said." As he spoke, he put on this nocturnal mask. His words froze the mocking expressions of the gods, and the leading deities squinted their eyes slightly and said, "Okay, you have backbone. When the dark seed I planted in your human race said you were a greedy and afraid person, I didn't believe it. How could someone with such talent be a greedy and afraid person? I will fulfill you and give you a move." The strong members of the human race ignored the words of the gods, but looked at the figure and fell silent. They had never understood this first genius of the human race. At this moment, Chen Hui demonstrated the courage and backbone of the human race to never be a slave, which greatly changed their impression of Chen Hui. Although Chen Hui's previous words made them angry, now Chen Hui is respected by them. The monster took the life of my only family member, and I killed that monster. But the mastermind behind the scenes is still alive. Even if I die today, I will slay a god. As Chen Hui spoke, he grabbed the mask and forcefully smashed half of it, revealing half of his face. This half of the face was ferocious and terrifying due to the nocturnal body, but those dark blue pupils emitted a strong dark blue light. At this moment, Chen Hui was extremely confident, as if he could truly slay the gods. Don't be ashamed to speak big. The deity just looked at Chen Hui with disdain. In the next moment, a mysterious force swept over Chen Gui between heaven and earth, and his aura increased several times. The originally bright sky suddenly became dim. The sky is gradually getting dark, with no stars visible, only a dark moon shining alone in the sky. Chen Hui took a deep breath, his eyes no longer filled with tears, and his tone calmed down. He said, "It seems that God is also helping me." The invisible imperial power loomed over him, and his gaze became profound. At this moment, Chen Hui also entered the imperial realm and became the fifth emperor of the human race. And this change in heaven and earth is due to his second ability in the imperial realm, which is his ninth skill and one of the symbols of a strong imperial realm. But even the gods were moved by the scope of this imperial domain. Surprisingly, it affected the entire blue star. Behind Chen Hui, a huge night fork demon statue appeared, and this dim world now had an extra blood color. Emperor Domain. Dark Moon descends. Emperor Domain. Divine Spear Blood Shadow. Emperor Domain. Yiksha Demon Phase. 3 types of imperial domains emerged together. When Chen Hui entered the imperial realm, his body also evolved into the imperial body, and the Yiksha body evolved into the Yiksha Demon Emperor body. At this moment, Chen Regret was piled up with buffs, and even the gods had to take his breath seriously. Watching Chen Regret emerge from all 3 imperial domains, the strong of the human race couldn't bear to let him die here. Unfortunately, Chen Regret was not awakened by the human race. This makes them extremely regretful. Chen Hui's gun integrated into his body, transforming him into a gun. The huge magic spear pierced through the sky, and the magical energy and imperial power above made the space tremble. At this moment, the gods could no longer see contempt on their faces. Each of them had a solemn expression, and the smell from the gun made them all feel a hint of danger. Chapter 3. Chen's Regretful Death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The huge Yiksha demon statue grabbed the long spear made by Chen Chenhua, and the demonic energy poured into the spear. The leading deity mobilizes the power of the stars within, forming a starry wall in front of them. Although the gods are not serious, this level can already withstand the damage of any imperial realm of the human race. Feeling the stronger and stronger aura of the magic gun, it vaguely reached the critical point of damage for the mortal and divine realms, which made the eyes of these deities looking at Chen Hui hot one by one. They are a special tribe in the starry sky, born in a divine realm, but cannot improve their strength. They belong to a family that determines their own strength from birth. Although they have starry skin, they also belong to the elf tribe, with delicate features and excellent appearance. This also leads to their popularity among all races in the starry sky, and if caught by the strong, they will become sex slaves, which also makes them vulnerable in the starry sky. Until one of their ancestors, by chance, obtained the inheritance of a powerful deity on the Shinto path, which is a type of slave seal. This slave seal is divided into a main seal and a secondary seal, with the main seal imprinted on the racial luck and the secondary seal directly imprinted on the slave soul, and they controlled the slaves through the secondary seal. And their tribe also became one of the top 10 races in the Starry Sky race ranking with this thing. The secondary imprint can only be controlled by the seed imprinter, and it can also give back to the seed imprinter through the slave imprint. This is also the only way for their clan to enhance their strength, breaking the racial restrictions. So their gaze at Chen Hui was so passionate. Moreover, there are not only blue stars with human races in the starry sky, but also human races in other star domains. They are still at the dominant level and are among the top 3 in the starry sky. So when they discovered the human race on the planet Blue Star, which had not yet evolved into a spiritual planet, they began planning. The potential of the human race can reach the level of a starry sky ruler. If they can enslave the Blue Star humans, their race can advance a few more. Of course, this needs to be done after the Blue Star human race grows up, otherwise they may be wiped out by the Starry Sky human race. As for this Starry Sky divine power wall, the limit it can withstand is just as good as approaching the divine damage infinitely. This is also a kind of temptation. If Chen Repentance can break it with the Imperial Realm, it indicates that his combat power is infinitely close to God. This is definitely a perfect war slave. You should know that in the starry sky, there is no difference in realm level that has been ignored, let alone this level difference. The concept of absolute level difference. But this human aura is indeed infinitely close to the Shinto, and there is already a tendency to ignore realm differences. The final buff was also stacked, and the Yiksha magic statue finally threw its magic gun fiercely at the gods. Wherever the magic spear passes, the space is twisted by it, causing it to vibrate and even waking up Song Wujie, who was knocked unconscious by Chen Hui. He is a space awakener with a strong sense of spatial fluctuations. But at this moment, the space was unexpectedly made so unstable by this shot. This makes him unable to even use spatial abilities now, he will die if he uses them. He looked at the sky with a bewildered expression, and the demon statue emitting imperial and magical power threw the magic gun fiercely. What happened? He looked at Jun Nanzhu with a heavy face and asked. Jun Nanzhu glanced at him but didn't speak. He decided that if Chen regretted his death, he would also commit suicide. A young man in his 20s has this kind of backbone, which makes him feel ashamed, but the human race cannot be destroyed because of it. He will pacify the remaining humans and then commit suicide. The magic gun fiercely collided with the star power wall, and the waves generated by its impact even shattered the surrounding space. This is no longer the damage that Blue Star can bear, it will disintegrate a few more times. And its anti-seismic force shook away the magic spear, which transformed into Chen Hui's body and directly forced the Yiksha body to shut down. I saw him fly backwards and fall into the ruins. The Yiksha armor on his body shattered into pieces and dissipated into small dark blue light. Chen Hui crawled out of the ruins, wiping away the blood from the corners of his mouth and disdainfully saying, "Even gods are just like that." At this moment, although he appeared completely embarrassed, his expression was exceptionally good. As soon as his words fell, a spider web-like crack appeared on the star power wall, which shattered in the next moment and turned into scattered starlight. This made several strong members of the human race and survivors very excited. After all, they were humans, and some people really injured the gods with mortal bodies. The deity led by him was also in chaos due to the shattering of the star power wall, causing liquid from the starry sky to flow into his mouth. However, he was not angry about it, but his gaze at Chen Hui was very hot. Their group is a young generation without slaves, born only a few decades ago, and their strength has just entered the first realm of Shintoism. And Chen Hui already has the ability to kill them, but unfortunately, now Chen Hui can only take this shot. You should know that Chen Hui only entered the imperial realm. So they were not angry about Chen Hui's mockery, because the other party had the right to say this. Not bad, we do only have this kind of strength, but it's enough to deal with you. Surrender or die, give you another chance. The deity in charge wiped away the starry liquid from the corner of his mouth, and at this point, he could no longer see the contempt towards Chen Hui on the corner of his face. Truly worthy of being a human race with hegemonic potential. Watching the strongest one among them being injured, a deity couldn't help but sigh. Although the leading deities always said they would give Chen Regret a chance to make a choice, they were determined to gain this war slave power, as the other party could not threaten their lives. Obviously, they would give Chen Regret countless opportunities. Chen Hui chuckled lightly and said, "No, I don't have a chance, so do you." This made the deity's eyes freeze, and he didn't know what Chen Hui's words meant, but he felt a faint sense of unease. I saw Chen Repent's breath burst out again, but at this moment, his breath was several times stronger than the one he had just had. However, Chen regretted that his dark blue long hair was gradually turning white, and the wrinkles on his face were increasing. His once extremely young face is also getting older and older. He was burning his own vitality, and the gods who saw this all took action to prevent Chen Hui from burning his life, but unfortunately it was too late. Generally speaking, for those who awaken their abilities and become powerful in the imperial realm, their lifespan will increase to 200 years. And for ordinary genetic warriors entering the imperial realm, their lifespan increases to around 300 years old. An increase in lifespan like Chen Hui will only be more terrifying. He is a dual ability awakener and also an S.level talent gene warrior, with his lifespan directly increasing to nearly 1,000 years. It is equivalent to burning his life for nearly 1,000 years, in exchange for the infinite power close to the gods, that is, the semi-divine realm power, and he has already stepped into the Shinto realm with half a step. Those gods only approached him and were forced back by his terrifying aura. How can these innate gods, who have only been born for decades and have not been elevated by the imprint of slavery, compare to Chen Regret, who has burned 1,000 years of life? I saw Chen Regret tearing off his windbreaker and revealing his strong upper body. And the next moment, the magic pattern appeared, and he activated the Yiksha body again. "General, I will go first. Leave these gods to me, and I will perish with them." Chen Hui did not immediately take action, but said to Jun Nanju. At this moment, the gods finally felt fear and quickly fled towards the starry sky. But as soon as they emerged from the blue star, they were stopped by a dark moon, and then several shadows shot out like tentacles, heading straight towards the gods, entangled in their bodies, and then they found themselves unable to move. How could it be? The pupils of the deity led by him suddenly shrank. Although they were all true gods, they were imprisoned by a human who barely came into contact with the Shintoism through their burning lifespan. This is simply outrageous, outrageous. Damn it, open the door for outrageous, outrageous to the point. At this moment, the situation also reversed, and the originally desperate humanity was confused. They were just about to be enslaved, how could they directly imprison those gods now? This even the strong members of the human race were bewildered, and Jun Nanju was also bewildered. However, when he saw the young man in front of him, who was already very old, his face also darkened. "If you have any unfinished wishes, we can help you fulfill them." When Jun Nanju said these words, it was very unpleasant. Although they were discussing risking their lives to let this young man escape, the situation escalated to this point. What an unpredictable world. "After I die, bury my emperor's body in Shuer together." Chen Hui thought for a moment and realized that he no longer had any aspirations. He doesn't have much time left, but now he can't take action on Blue Star. Blue Star can't bear it. Jun Nanju nodded heavily and made a solemn military salute to Chen Hui. The strong members of the human race saw this scene and bowed solemnly to Chen Hui one by one. At this moment, they couldn't help but shed tears, and their eyes turned red with tears. The survivors of the shelter also saluted the screen at this moment. They never imagined that this scumbag really lived up to their expectations, but this scumbag saved them with their own lives. Originally, this scumbag had died, and they should have been happy. When they thought about this scumbag's past, it was like this, but at this moment, they felt a special pain in their hearts. Chen sighed deeply, he really didn't have time. He roared up to the sky and said, I regret it, I will slay the gods today. As he spoke, his spear reappeared in his hand, dressed in Yiksha armor, and he put on his Yiksha mask. Although those gods were not enough for him to exert all his strength, this was his final battle, and he naturally had to give it his all. He stepped into the void, took a few steps, and then his figure flashed. The next moment, he appeared outside the blue star, which was his current speed rather than teleportation. At this moment, his physical body can support him walking in the starry sky. He looked at the gods in front of him who were imprisoned by him. At this moment, each of them showed despair, and at the same time, he regretted giving Chen a chance. What a bunch of garbage, and dealing with you garbage, I have to risk my life. Damn it, if I were given another 2 years, how could it be like this? Anyway, just accept you gods as my burial companions. At this moment, Chen Gui had no intention of retaliating against these gods and only wanted to give them pleasure. After doing so, he was also tired. Sister Yangqiu and Shuer, I'm here to accompany you. If I had known this, I should have demanded your conditions. Damn it, I'll still be a boy to the death. Chen Hui had no heart to think anymore. He waved his gun and threw it, transforming it into a beam of light, like the energy shot out by the Star Destroyer. The light instantly overwhelmed the gods in front of him, never stopping, and he didn't know how many celestial bodies had penetrated, disappearing from Chen Hui's field of vision. After Chen Hui threw this shot, he lost his vitality and his aura quickly declined, falling back to the level he had when he first entered the Imperial realm. His Imperial body also fell from the starry sky back to the blue star. Chen Hui, I'm dead. Full text completed, cough, just a joke. At the last moment when Chen Hui's consciousness dissipated, a mechanical sound came to his ear, ding. The host has reached the binding conditions, and the savior system is starting to bind. Binding is complete. Activate consciousness time and space teleportation. Chapter 4. System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. Reincarnation through time travel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Chen Hui regained his senses, he looked around in a daze. This was a very ordinary room, but it made Chen Hui couldn't help but shed tears. This is his room, and it's also a place he hasn't been back to in 3 years. The room is not big, only about 20 square meters. But filled with his memories. There is only one bed and one desk in this room. And there is a photo on the desk, which shows a child who looks 11 or 2 years old and a girl who is 13 or 4 years old. He stood up trembling, picked up the photo, and looked at the girl in the photo. He murmured, Sister Yangqiu. Chen Hui is an orphan, and the girl in this photo is the biological daughter of his adoptive parents, who is 2 years older than him and grew up with him. And his foster parents were also eaten by exotic beasts when he was 13 years old. This also led to him and his foster sister relying on each other. 20 years back in the Awakening era, the National Compulsory Education Program for the Awakened officially began. This plan is to establish a national school for supernatural beings, and generally speaking, the awakening age is usually 16 years old, so this school covers high school and university. However, due to the scarcity of awakened ones, the number of people who can gather in one class in a region is considered good. Therefore, it is not realistic to have a school for psychics. Therefore, the official decision was made to add a class for psychics to the original high school. And this superpower class is only held in the first high school of each region. So every student from junior high school to senior high school will undergo awakening testing. The so-called awakening degree refers to the percentage of likelihood of awakening. Generally speaking, if the awakening level exceeds 80, it will definitely awaken, and if the awakening level reaches 80, it will be admitted to the first high school in the region. In the first year of high school, there was no special ability class, only in the second year. And his sister, because she was awakened early or a rare power awakener, was admitted to the power class early and still from the capital. Beijing is the capital of Yanguo, so Beijing No. 1 Middle School is one of the best middle schools in China, and its teaching resources are also the best in the country. And every month, his sister receives a considerable scholarship, which is also the only source of living expenses for the two of them. That is to say, his sister has raised him all these years, so his feelings for his sister are particularly deep. As their family is in Yucheng and they cannot afford to rent a house in the capital, his sister lives on campus and only comes back to see him once or twice a month. Looking at the photo in his hand, he fell into memories. It was a long time before he shifted his gaze from the photo. He picked up the phone on the table, which was a 14th birthday gift bought for him by his sister through frugality. He opened his phone and flipped through the calendar. In the 25th year of awakening, I actually returned to 5 years ago. 5 years ago. That was already interesting. At this moment, a girl's voice rang in his ear, "How are you? Didn't you say you'll be given another 2 years? My baby helped you achieve it." Chen regretted and looked over his shoulder, only to see a little guy about the size of a palm sitting with his legs crossed. She looks very beautiful like a doll, with a pair of small wings on her back. "What are you?" Chen Hui frowned slightly, not even he noticed the appearance of this little guy. "What kind of thing? I'm your system incarnation." The little one said angrily with his hands on his hips. System incarnation. Chen regretted with a skeptical expression, poking a finger at the little thing's chubby little face. The little thing lifted Chen Gui's finger and angrily said, "You have become the host of cultivating the savior system, won't you forget?" Chen Hui rubbed his chin and asked in confusion, "Does the system have a physical entity?" "The system is something that only novels have, and this kind of thing is similar to a conceptual embodiment." It was the first time he knew that the system had entities. "It's not physical anymore. Apart from you, nothing can see me, touch me," the system explained. But Chen Hui still looked at the system with a skeptical expression and asked, "So what should I call you? Can't I call the system?" The system angrily gave him a blank glance and said, "What's the name of the system if you don't call it?" "Daughter." Chen Hui asked tentatively. The sound of "my daughter" completely angered the system, and the system angrily said, "Others treat the system as their father, but when you come here, you have to be my father. It's not like you. Thank you for giving you 2 more years." Upon hearing 2 years, Chen Chinny became angry and said, "Are you okay with that? It's okay to bring me back to the past, but why did you bring me back when I wasn't awakened? How do you want me to improve my strength?" He did not awaken at the age of 16, but he did so because at the age of 18, his sister gave him a gene potion that was still being tested. It was at that time that he was injected with the gene potion and became a power awakener, unlocking the gene lock and becoming a gene warrior. Gene warriors only truly appeared in the human world at that time. It is precisely through genetic drugs that more and more genetic warriors have emerged, compensating for the shortcomings of human strength. But the problem is that there are still 2 years until the release of genetic drugs, and he doesn't know how to make genetic drugs. The system felt a bit awkward upon hearing this, and she didn't expect this guy to wake up later than others. However, she confidently said, "Look at what you said, isn't there still me?" "You." Chen Hui looked at her palm-sized body, full of doubts. The system was so angry that she stomped her feet and angrily said, "Don't want the beginner gift package." "Humph." Chen Hui hesitated and said, "Is it like what's in the novel?" The system glanced at him and then ignored him, causing the dungeon baby to get angry and ignore your posture. Chen regretted seeing the situation and thought to himself what to do, quickly calming the system. He developed a good system one by one, just like Jia Baoyu calmed Lin Daiyu, and the system barely calmed down a bit. Out of thin air, a pop-up window popped up in front of Chen Gui, who looked shocked. He didn't understand the principle behind it, but he still looked at the pop-up window. What is interface display, divided into host data, system space, system identification, and tasks. He can still understand the host data and system space, but he is confused about the system identification. Is this system identification useful? Chen Hui pointed to the pop-up window and asked. It can identify the basic information of any organism or weapon, equivalent to analyzing the data of the identified object. This ability is connected to the host's eyes and does not require opening system pop-ups. As long as the host has a thought, the information of the object seen by the host will appear in the host's mind. The system explained. Your ability is somewhat helpful. As a reborn person, is there any information he doesn't know? Chen Hui thought for a moment and realized that he really had it. He only realized that what he knew was information about the group of strong human beings, and this ability was really useful. The host can choose to remove this ability. Can one of these tasks be deleted? Chen Hui pointed to the task and asked. But looking at him with the system not functioning properly, he was startled and quickly withdrew his finger. What he didn't know was that in the thousands of years to come, a certain girl was sitting on the bed crazily grabbing her hair. Chapter 6. First task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Hui did not mention the deletion task again, because he didn't know why. Just when the system saw him, he actually felt a sense of fatal crisis. This feeling is far beyond the comparison of the gods he beheaded in his previous life, so he understands that the system is very dangerous. System, what about the so-called beginner gift package? Chen Hui quickly changed the topic and asked. The system was out of thin air, and at the next moment, a mechanical sound rang in Chen Hui's ear, ding. The beginner gift package has been sent, have you signed for it? How to sign for it? Chen Hui looked around for 4 weeks, but didn't see much. He asked. Just go back to the system. The system had no choice but to cover its head. She was thinking, is it still possible to switch hosts now? She is still working on the system for the first time and has no experience at all. Yes. Chen Hui replied to the voice, and the next moment, another mechanical sound sounded, ding, it has entered the system space. Chen Hui clicked on the system space, and there was indeed an additional gift package inside. He clicked on the gift package, and the next moment, the item information inside the gift package popped up in a pop-up window. Divine Level Gene Potion Blueprint +1, Divine Level Gene Potion Experience +1, and a set of top-level medicine refining equipment. Is it gone? Chen repented with a dark face and asked the system, where is the potion? I need potions. I'm not a pharmacist, why are you giving me this? Do it yourself and have plenty of food and clothing. The system saw that Chen Gui was feeling a lot better due to exhaustion, she said. Chen Hui could only retrieve the genetic drug blueprint from the system space and read it, but the more he looked at it, the darker his face became. What's all this and what? The good news is that this genetic potion only requires one type of medicinal herb, which is not valuable yet. The bad news is that because this thing is not valuable, it cannot be seen in the market and only exists in the dimensional secret realm. This is the most important thing. To make a genetic potion, as long as the animal blood grass is in a medicinal herb, this thing is sprinkled with animal blood in the soil, because the blood of exotic beasts contains spiritual energy, and after a complex process, it will naturally grow. Therefore, this thing can be seen everywhere in the world's exotic beast dimension secret realm, but because humans cannot use it, picking it is useless and no one goes to pick it. And the secret territories in China are all officially sealed off, guarded by military forces, and only those with special abilities and must be of their own nationality can enter. The dimensional secret realm is usually only open during the ability hunter competition or the great exam, such as the college entrance examination. Although the core of exotic beasts can be absorbed and increase cultivation, excessive absorption of this thing can affect the foundation. Therefore, apart from Awakening Year 1 to Awakening Year 15, there are basically no people who absorb it. This also leads to the fact that apart from the army regularly entering dimensional secret realms to hunt exotic beasts and train students, there are basically no awakeners going to dimensional secret realms that have been discovered and explored in China. As for going to the dimensional secret realms in the wilderness areas of foreign countries, not to mention that he doesn't have the economic conditions, those secret realms can be left unattended because there are terrifying monsters inside. Going now is definitely seeking death. Chen looked at the system with a dark face and didn't want to speak, but the system could also see what he was thinking. You don't have to look at the date anymore. The system is very clear about this, but the newbie gift package sent by the system naturally has its point. Chen Hui opened his phone, and the date displayed below the time on the screen was June 1st. This made Chen Hui's eyes light up because he knew that June was the month when the college entrance examination was held, and their exams were all held on June 6th. At that time, the official would open the lowest level of the Silver Secret Realm. The Silver Secret Realm refers to the strongest level of silver within it. The silver level is the second level, and students who have practiced for 2 years can basically reach the silver level. This is also the highest safety factor, and there is basically no danger. Silver-level exotic beasts are only slightly stronger than ordinary beasts. Although Chen Hui has not yet awakened, he can still deal with them. But the problem is, he can only participate in the college entrance examination in the 3rd year of high school, he's only in the 1st year of high school. Is it possible to ask high school students to help him take care of it? Ding, the first task has been released. Please go to the task interface to check. While Chen regretted his thoughts, mechanical sounds echoed in his ear. He looked at the system on his shoulder in confusion, and with a small gesture, the system helped him open the task interface. He also checked it. Task 1. Infiltrate into the secret realm of the Jade City College entrance examination, obtain beast blood grass and refine it. Task time. 8 days. Task reward. And below these lines, there are also a few large red characters. Note. Failure to complete the task within the specified time will result in punishment by the system. Believe me, you will never want to know what punishment is, system, although I'm not a dog, you're a real dog. Are you serious? If you sneak into the college entrance examination and get caught, you'll be shot. Chen Hui still wanted to persuade the system if it was possible to change this task, but seeing the system's expression, it was clearly impossible. The system straightened its shoulders and patted its chest, saying, "Heartbeat, isn't it just a small task? Can this system provide assistance? How can I help you?" Upon hearing the system say this, Chen Hui felt that this task was not impossible, but he still asked a question. I can help you get a college entrance examination certificate. It's a piece of cake for me to hack into the Education Bureau and the National Security System. As soon as the system finished speaking, Chen Hui knew he couldn't trust this dog system. This is really a punishment. Forget it, I'll figure it out on my own. Chen Hui decisively refused the help of the system, and sneaking into the secret realm of the college entrance examination was already a death sentence. However, if he could awaken and submit the blueprint to the country before being caught, perhaps there would be some help. But if the system really did this, Chen Hui felt that his future was in darkness. It's already done, the system said that at the next moment, Chen Hui also received information that his admission ticket had been included in the system space. Chen Hui silently looked at the system, causing it to inexplicably panic. System, Chen sighed with regret and then called out. What's wrong? The system also doesn't understand why Chen Hui is looking at her like this. Listen to me, thank you. On the other side, the Yanhua Security Bureau, the entire Security Bureau, was buzzing with piercing sirens, and the staff were too busy to keep up. The director of the Security Bureau slammed the table in anger, and his breath erupted. What the hell is that bastard invading the Security Bureau? Let me investigate carefully. Don't let me know who you are, otherwise I will make your life worse than death. Director, no problem, this person directly hacked into the database. A staff member hurriedly reported. Has any information been caught or stolen? The director of the security bureau asked. I don't know, but this guy actually helped us repel invaders from other countries, and she has also retreated now, said another staff member. What? The director of the security bureau, like a punctured balloon, lost most of his temper. Chapter 7. Emperor's Luck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Looking at the extra admission ticket in the system space, Chen didn't know what to say, but it was done and he could only accept it. This dog system is really a pit. The task has been put aside for the time being, and he hasn't clicked on the host information yet. He has looked at the other functions. System, do you only have these 4 functions? The system pondered for a moment and said with a heavy tone, there are 2 more functions, but I hope you won't use them in your lifetime. Chen also guessed this sentence about the system, but he was not sure either. However, Chen remained speechless and said, I was wondering if there is a feature similar to a system all. He just wanted to ask this, but the system came up with a heavy topic. After hearing this, the system awkwardly said, not yet, maybe this feature will be available after the update. Can you still update? What are the conditions? Chen regretted looking surprised. Just now, he said there are still 2 functions, and it's better not to use them. Can you tell me now that they can be updated? After Chen Guigang finished speaking, another pop-up window appeared in front of him, displaying a progress bar. The system explains, you can fill in this progress bar for the task points obtained by completing tasks and the slaughter points obtained by killing exotic beasts. The first update requires 500 or 2000 slaughter points. Why do we need so many task points? Chen regretted thinking for the first time, the system can still be so black, what the hell? The mission point is 4 times that of the massacre point, completing a task can earn around 1000 task points. The system explained that this made Chen feel better. If he gains very few task points in a mission, he would rather slaughter exotic beasts. Monster. I really appreciate it. Chen Hui's gaze finally shifted to the host data item, and he clicked on it. At the next moment, a pop-up window pops up with his profile, name. Chen Hui, age. 16 of 21 realm. None talent. SSS ability. Special Dark Moon, not awakened, Special Spear King, not awakened, Gene. Level Nocturnal Body, skill. None Qi Yun. Emperor Qi Yun power. Silver 1 star, system, what's wrong with this talent? He knew for the first time that it was still classified into talent levels. Due to the immaturity of the human race's abilities and the lack of instruments to detect talents, this system is different and can evaluate anyone's talents. The system explained that when she said this, she was particularly proud, but what she didn't say was that Chen Hui's talent may have exceeded the SSS level. In his previous life, he only used 3 years to enter the Imperial Realm, which is something that other SSS level talents cannot do. However, the highest talent evaluation is only at SSS level, so she can't possibly exceed SSS level, right? What's going on with this luck? Chen Hui pointed to the line on the pop-up window that displayed his luck and asked in confusion, mostly in surprise. What the hell? Emperor's luck. Is he compatible? The system explains, Qi luck is the key to entering the Imperial Realm. Without gathering Qi luck, it is impossible to enter the Imperial Realm. This is also why you stayed in the Royal Realm for half a year in your previous life. But I don't remember when I gathered this thing, Chen Hui recalled in detail, he didn't even know about it. Qi luck is a part of clan luck, and the convergence of Qi luck relies on the recognition of the same clan. The so-called clan luck is formed by the convergence of the will of the race and clan members. In your past life, you fought in a racial crisis and the despair of the human race, so you gained the recognition of all the human races. This also allowed the entire clan luck to converge on you. At that moment, not only did you enter the imperial realm, but you also became the emperor of the human race, which is why you are so abnormal. Even for thousands of years in the future, no one has gathered the entire clan luck to become the emperor, and the emperor luck will travel with you. Come back and be reborn, so you are now the emperor, and there will be no bottleneck for you to enter the imperial realm. The system said a lot, but seeing Chen Repent's bewildered face, it was clear that he didn't understand, so he continued. That's just reputation. Only when your reputation reaches a certain level can you enter the imperial realm, and this reputation must be good. With your notorious reputation, entering the imperial realm can only indicate that you did not make a wrong choice at the critical moment. When she said this, Chen Hui understood, and at the same time, he was speechless. At that time, he only chose to fight it out because his pride and backbone did not allow him to become a slave, so that all humans could see and recognize him. To put it this way, those gods are like silly forks. If it weren't for their live broadcasts, Chen Hui might not have been able to enter the imperial realm, and they would have lifted a stone and smashed their own feet. At this moment, Chen repented and understood why there were only 4 imperial realms in the previous human race, because these 4 powerful imperial realms were truly considering their own people, which was why they gained recognition from their own people and gathered some of the human race's fortunes. This can be seen from the fact that when the Ice Emperor approached Chen Hui, he did not explain the existence of the deity and invited Chen Hui to participate in the war based on his own body. After Chen Hui communicated with the system for another hour, he returned from time travel, but he is still a student and has to go to school tomorrow. It is now evening, so he gave him an early break. Due to his high level of awakening, he was admitted to Yuqing No. 1 High School, and even achieved impressive results, so he was admitted to Class 1 of Yuqing No. 1 High School. The first class of high school is taught using the educational model of the second year's special ability class. Because the awakening level of the students in Class 1 has exceeded 90. Although there are only 30 students, these 30 students will definitely awaken without any accidents. So they teach theoretical knowledge of supernatural abilities in the morning and physical training in the afternoon. However, only awakened individuals can attend the afternoon physical training, while those who are not awakened can only self-study in class. Chen Hui plans to take a leave and go to the black market in Yuqing to see if he can buy a suitable long gun. Chen Hui washed himself up and went to bed, but the incarnation of the system still stayed here. In the end, he could only sleep with the system in his arms. The system is speechless about this, and due to Chen Hui's sleeping position, she hasn't slept all night. It's not Chen Hui's fault. Since Chen Hui woke up, he doesn't even need to sleep to replenish his energy due to the power of the dark moon, and he can't sleep at all. So Chen Hui hasn't slept for 3 years, and it's the first time he feels it's really good not to wake up. However, because he hadn't slept for too long, he slept until 10 o'clock the next day and overslept. This has caused him to be late and he will be unlucky. Their homeroom teacher has a bad temper and is still an awakener. The strength is beyond Chen Hui's ability to deal with now. This left Chen Hui speechless. On the second day of his rebirth, he had to feel the love from his homeroom teacher that he had not experienced in a long time. Chapter 8. Zhou Yang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, Chen Hui, who overslept, fell into silence as he looked at the time displayed on his phone in a missed call. 10.17, how about taking a leave? Chen Guigong had this idea when his phone rang again and the screen displayed, Zhou Mo2 called, this week, the demon is his homeroom teacher Zhou Yang. He picked up his phone with trembling hands, but after a struggle, he still answered it. He held his phone to his ear and said, hello, Zhou Mo teacher. Due to his long absence from meeting the homeroom teacher, he always remembered this homeroom teacher as Zhou Motu. This made him instinctively scream out. Fortunately, he has a quick reaction. What time is it? Why haven't you come to school yet? Don't you want to stop studying? Hurry up and come over. A furious shout came from his phone, which frightened Chen into trembling. Ma, come right away. As Chen Hui spoke, he put on his clothes and ran to school. This scene made the system couldn't help but laugh, and it turned out that the emperor was also afraid of the class teacher. Sure enough, it is the consensus of every student to be afraid of the homeroom teacher. The system was lying on Chen Gui's head, as she said, except for Chen Gui, no one saw her. Chen Hui walked through the streets one by one and finally arrived at the outer wall of Yuqing No. 1 Middle School. Without hesitation, he climbed over the wall in shock from the passers-by and succeeded in one go. Chen regretted running towards the teaching building in his first year of high school. Just as he arrived downstairs, his face became a bit ugly. A middle-aged teacher is standing in front of the teaching building, and it is his homeroom teacher Zhou Yang. At this moment, the other party was looking serious and angry at Chen Hui, who had come running in. He had watched Chen Hui climb over the wall with his own eyes. But when Chen Hui approached, he felt his restless mood inexplicably calm down. Looking at Chen Hui, he inexplicably felt reverence for him. He also noticed that Chen Hui's temperament had changed. At this moment, Chen Hui exuded an imperial aura at all times, which inexplicably aroused submission and awe. Teacher Zhou. Chen Hui was also unclear about Zhou Yang's attitude, so he just called out. As for admitting his mistake, he was still a bit uncomfortable. He was infamous in his past life, although most of it was fake, there was still some truth behind it, so he felt a bit uncomfortable admitting his mistake. Zhou Yang looked at Chen Hui and really wanted to scold him hard, but in the end, he still didn't say it. Looking at Chen Hui with a hint of resentment, he let out a breath and said, "I'm done. This semester is almost over, and next semester, maybe you won't be my student anymore." But Zhou Yang was somewhat resentful. After all, the student in front of him had an unprecedented level of awakening, but unfortunately he did not awaken. Zhou Yang still earnestly advised, "Chen Hui, can't you accept it? Think about when you first entered our class, your awakening level was as high as 200. You should also be aware of what this means." But over the past 2 semesters, even Luo Hong, who had only a 90% awakening level, woke up last night, and the whole class only missed you. Do you deserve your talent of awakening level as high as 200? Chen Hui felt very helpless upon hearing this. His high level of awakening even made the teacher who tested him suspect that there might be a problem with the instrument. He achieved a 200-degree awakening due to his dual abilities. In theory, such a high level of awakening can already awaken, but Chen Gui did not awaken. Why? Because of physical constitution. Scientists have tested that some people are unable to awaken because their physique cannot withstand the ability to awaken. And Chen Hui belongs to this category. He has 2 abilities, and his physique must be at least comparable to silver to withstand the awakening of these abilities, which leads to him being in a state of semi-awakening. Chen Hui quietly listened to Zhou Yang's words and continued to respond with words like, "Yes, yes, I understand." Zhou Yang finally finished speaking. But when he realized that Chen Hui hadn't left yet, he couldn't help but frown and say, "What's wrong? Is there something else?" "Teacher Zhou, I would like to take a leave this afternoon." Chen Hui didn't hesitate to say that even the system on his head was speechless. Is it suitable to bring up this matter at this time? The system somewhat admires Chen Hui's emotional intelligence. Sure enough, Zhou Yang's face turned black, but he didn't know why, he just couldn't get angry. He didn't even expect that he had just finished saying Chen Hui, but Chen Hui turned around and asked for leave. "Come on, it's for nothing." Zhou Yang finally agreed to Chen Hui's leave and drove him back to the classroom before returning to the office. He really didn't want to see Chen Hui for a second. This talent of 200 awakenings is in vain. As soon as Chen regretted returning to the classroom, some classmates mocked him and saw a strong young man in the back row leave his seat and walk towards him. "Oh! Isn't this Chen Tianjiao, who has a 200-degree of awakening? He hasn't awakened yet." As he spoke, the young man's hand was filled with a pile of dirt, indicating that his superpower was earth. Gathering this pile of soil, the young man looked proud and said, "I'm really sorry, I accidentally woke up last night. It seems like I'm going to stay in this class. Unfortunately, we won't be classmates next semester." The other classmates sat in their seats, watching this scene happen. But Chen Regret looked at the young man in front of him like an idiot. He was exactly what Zhou Yang called Luohong. Seeing his proud expression, Chen Regret didn't even want to talk to him. Chen Hui has not yet awakened because his physical condition has not reached that level, while Luohong only awakened last night because his awakening level reached the point where he can awaken last night. Chen regretted knowing whether to pay attention to him or not, but in the end, he replied, "You and your abilities match well." After speaking, I walked around him towards my position. What? Luohong had not yet realized it, but his classmates around him recognized it, and Chen Hui hinted that Luohong was a bumpkin. Is this Chen Hui really unaware of life and death, not knowing the difference between him and ordinary people after awakening? Even if he angers Luohong, he is not afraid of Luohong giving him a punch. He is a genius with a consciousness of up to 200, how could he possibly look up to us, do you think so? These students were whispering, and their gaze towards Chen Hui was particularly contemptuous. In their eyes, they had awakened and were not in the same world as Chen Hui, who was still an ordinary person. And they couldn't stand Chen Hui either. As soon as he entered this school, he was known as a genius, and his awakening level of up to 200 made them jealous. Luohong finally reacted and angrily said, "What are you talking about? You're looking for death." As he spoke, his fist was wrapped in mud and he punched Chen Hui. Earth Fist. He used his black iron skills without hesitation to deal with Chen Hui, an ordinary person. Chen Hui was naturally wary of him. This scene had also happened in his past life. In his past life, he ignored Luohong and angered the other party, resulting in being punched by Luohong and sent to the hospital. However, unlike in his past life, Chen repentance today is not simple. His physique is not inferior to that of Luohong, and he is even stronger. He dodged the punch sideways, then grabbed the opponent's arm and without hesitation, made an over-shoulder throw. This fall directly confused Luohong, and the force of that fall, combined with the force of Chen Guifa, made him feel like his bones were about to break. At this moment, the classroom also quieted down, and everyone looked at the scene in surprise. Chapter 9. Division of Realms of the Way. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Garbage. Chen Hui made a blunt mockery, and the quiet atmosphere was immediately disrupted by this sound. Luohong's gaze towards Chen Hui was filled with fear, and the sound of garbage instantly shattered his proud heart. He was actually given a second by an ordinary person at this moment. Luohong's faith collapsed. Chen Hui didn't pay any attention to Luohong anymore and walked straight towards his seat. His gaze around him, watching the play, was no longer contemptuous as before, but full of fear. Except for a few classmates, the rest of them only awakened this semester, and their average level is only around 2 stars. Although Luohong only woke up last night, he is also a black iron star, but he is just an enemy of Chen Hui's move. They are just awakened students who don't know so much, so they dare not discuss Chen Hui anymore, afraid of offending each other and being knocked down by them. Chen Hui sat in his own seat, which was not his desk mate. TSK, the majestic emperor actually bullied elementary school students. The system couldn't stand these classmates who were mocking Chen Hui. In her opinion, they were actually classmates in the same class and should be united. So she doesn't like this class. So, Chen Hui's second task was also decided at this moment, but it has not been released yet. Looking at Chen Hui's expressionless face, the system joked. Chen Hui sneered, "He's not a primary school student." The sound of the system was not audible to others, but Chen Hui's voice was still heard by the students in the front row. He thought Chen Hui was talking to him, so he turned around and found that Chen Hui's gaze was not on him, but on the table. Chen Hui spoke to the table. Scared, the classmate quickly turned around, thinking that Chen Hui was mentally abnormal, feeling much less pain. Luo Hong reluctantly stood up and stumbled back to his position, which he could tolerate. At this moment, Zhou Yang, who had been watching the situation inside from outside, also walked in. He only realized when he returned to the office that this was his class, so he entered the classroom. As soon as he arrived at the door, he saw the scene just now. He glanced in the direction of Chen Hui and then walked up to the podium. As a teacher, he naturally had some foresight. Chen Hui's just performed an over-shoulder throw that was so perfect that he couldn't even find any problems. That over-shoulder throw was even more perfect than his over-shoulder throw. Perfectly making the other person feel the force of being thrown and the force acting on them. The combination of these two forces can be uncomfortable. Class. Zhou Yang placed the textbook on the church and said, "This class is reviewing the reasons for dividing the human race into realms and the division of realms." Zhou Yang's loud voice echoed in the classroom. In the second year of the awakening year, due to the awakening of abilities, the awakened one discovered that their strength was becoming stronger and understood that their strength would also become stronger over time. However, the awakened one did not know how to cultivate. At this time, our country's 5-star dragon general, General Nanju Jun, discovered that the awakened one could enhance their strength by absorbing beast cores. As a result, the human race mastered the preliminary cultivation method, and the human race strong one also realized the need to establish levels to divide their strength. Through the unanimous decision of the League of Nations, the strength was divided based on the levels in the game. At this point, he stopped and looked at Chen Hui, saying, "Chen Hui, could you explain the classification of levels?" Chen Hui stood up and said, "The levels are divided into black iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, starry, royal realm, and imperial realm. Each level is further divided into 10 stars. Very good, then you can talk about why there are Wangjing and Huangjing after Xingyao level," Zhou Yang continued. "Because there are only 6 levels in the game, and humans do not know how many levels there are, the League of Nations unanimously decided after discussion that the first person to reach the level after Starlight can name this level. In the 7th year of the awakening year, Nicholas, the Dark King of Thunder, was the first to reach the King's Realm and named it the King's Realm. In the 13th year of the awakening year, the Flame God of the Red Kingdom reached the Emperor's Realm and named it the God's Realm. However, in the same year, the Ice Emperor of China was proven to be a natural awakener and a natural emperor, so the God's Realm was changed to the Emperor's Realm. Theoretical knowledge, Chen Hui has never been afraid of it. In his previous high school year, he did not awaken. In his second year, he began to study theoretical knowledge desperately and wanted to study literature, so his theoretical knowledge is really good. "Please sit down," Zhou Yang said. Chen Hui sat down, and Zhou Yang continued, "It is precisely because of these ancestors that we are able to sit here and attend classes today. However, the human race is not peaceful today, so you must work hard to cultivate in order to protect yourself in this unstable era." As soon as he finished speaking, the bell for the end of class rang, so he said again, "I hope you remember what I just said, class is over." After speaking, he took the textbook and left the class. Chen Hui silently watched Zhou Yang leave. He didn't say that these realms were just so-called mortal realms. There was also a divine realm above the mortal realm, which the system told him. He had also personally experienced the divine realm, although it was only a semi-divine realm, and it was temporarily achieved by burning life. However, the current human race has not yet reached that realm, and even if he speaks, no one will believe him. Thinking of this, he now yearns for the improvement of his strength, which is incomparable to his previous life. In his past life, his desire for strength was only because he wanted to avenge his sister, but in this life, he longed to improve his strength to protect the people he cherished. He didn't want to experience the powerlessness of watching the person he cherished die in front of him in his past life anymore. At this moment, he secretly made up his mind, which made the system observing the changes in his expression show a pleased smile. Chapter 10. Buying guns in the black market. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Quickly, the morning passed, and Chen ran away as soon as he finished class. This made Zhou, who had observed Chen's entire class, feel helpless. The last class was math, and Zhou, who felt that Chen had changed a lot, observed his performance in the opposite teaching building after class. With his strength and vision, he could naturally see the situation in the classroom, but to his surprise, Chen fell asleep. He remembers that Chen was the only one in his class who took the cultural class the most seriously. His tuition was hard-won, so he didn't want to waste it. Especially in the subject of mathematics, he is like a god of learning, and he is the most enthusiastic student among math teachers. But now, Chen actually fell asleep. He stood for 40 minutes watching Chen sleep, and the more he thought about him, the more angry he became, but he didn't know how to say Chen was okay. Chen regretted running quickly all the way back home. He took out a box of instant noodles from the cabinet and boiled water. When it was time to boil water, he returned to the room, opened the drawer, and took out a rusty iron box. This is the pocket money he saved up, originally intended to buy gifts for his sister to celebrate her admission to college. He remembered in his past life that he had a crush on an ancient bow with phoenix patterns carved on it. It weighed 150 pounds, but because no one could pull it, it was cheaper than other weapons, costing 200,000 yuan. That was what his sister took him to the black market to see. At that time, when she saw an ancient bow, she couldn't put it down and tried to pull it, but it actually pulled. At that time, the entire black market was alarmed. As soon as the ancient bow was unearthed, the black market held a bow pulling activity. As a result, a series of star-shining powerhouses with beast-like abilities were unable to pull it away, causing a seemingly awakened little girl to pull it away. But when his sister heard that she wanted 200,000 yuan, she had the heart to give up. That scene is still vivid in his memory. He saved up for 3 years in his previous life, and the result was only 15,000 yuan, which is far from the price of that bow. He didn't buy the bow from his past life until his sister died, but unfortunately his sister was gone. Later on, he did buy the bow, but it was placed in his sister's coffin. He didn't want his sister's body to be cremated, and her abilities made her burn so high that she couldn't burn it at all. This life is different. With just the divine genetic potion, he could definitely buy it before his sister gets into college. So with this little money, he plans to go to the black market to buy a cheaper gun, a big pot, and some dishes. He took out 10,000 yuan from inside and cooked the hot water. After making the instant noodles, he began to eat them. I haven't eaten this thing for a long time. Looking at the instant noodles in front of him, he remembered the days in his past life when he saved money to buy bows and eat instant noodles. The system sat on the table, curious as she looked at the instant noodles in front of her and said, "What is this?" Instant noodles. After saying that, Chen regretted not being afraid of the heat and took a few bites to finish the instant noodles. The system looked at instant noodles in surprise and exclaimed incredulously, "Does this thing really mean instant noodles?" Chen glanced at her without saying anything. He guessed a bit about the system. Suddenly, he asked, "System, it's not convenient for me to call you system directly from outside. How about giving you a name? How about calling it little boy?" The system also agrees with his suggestion, but what kind of ghost is a child? The system gave him a cold glare and said, "I'll take it myself, just call me Shi. Shi. Chen also remembered the name, and after finishing the instant noodle box, he went back to his room for lunch break. Due to last night's experience, the system made a small bed on the desk. Looking at the small desk, Chen roast, "Aren't you the system? Does the system need a rest?" She stuck out her small tongue and said, "What's wrong with the system? Is the system not human anymore?" Chen expressed that he was speechless, and the system was really not human. Watching the system fall asleep quickly, Chen murmured, "Is your surname Shi?" Sometimes this surname. Anyway, he really doesn't have a surname in his memory. They only set off for the black market after 4 p.m. because it was not until 6 p.m. the next day that the black market opened. Arriving at the black market, Chen Hui came to the weapon shop where he bought the bow with ease. As Chen Hui often came to see the bow, the shop owner also knew him. "Oh, brother Chen is here. Are you also here today to see that bow? Have you saved up all the money?" The shop owner is a chubby middle-aged man with a treacherous business face. Chen Hui knows that this shop owner is not simple, he is a diamond-level powerhouse. "I can't afford it." Chen Hui spoke calmly. In his previous life, he didn't have enough money, so he wanted to please the store manager and hoped to get a discount of 10,000 yuan. After all, this bow can only be used as a decoration here. But it was obviously impossible. In the end, he was played with by the store manager, and later he gained strength. After buying the bow, he chased the store manager for 2 months, but later he let him go because of something else. Before the store manager could speak, Chen Hui continued, "I want to buy a gun, the cheaper the better." The store manager heard that this kid was going to buy something and had business, so he enthusiastically pulled Chen Sui into the store and came to a row of shelves with long guns. All of the guns in this emission are red cherry guns, with only the gun head made of iron and the gun body made of wood. These red cherry spears have a total length of 212 centimeters, a blade length of 40 centimeters, a blade width of 5.7 centimeters, a total weight of 3.2 kilograms, and a gun head weight of 1.25 kilograms. "How much is it?" Chen Hui asked, as it was his first time buying a long gun. "Here's 1,000 for you," the shop owner thought for a moment before finally saying. "Okay, 10 more." The shopkeeper's eyes lit up when he heard this. He didn't expect this kid to be so cheerful today. If he didn't bargain, the maximum number of red cherry spears would be only 71, which is not the cost price. But this foolish kid just bought 10 out of 1,000. Chen Hui didn't know that he had been tricked by this unscrupulous businessman again, otherwise he would probably have pursued the shop owner for several months in the future. After paying, Chen Hui put 10 red cherry guns into the system space and then came to the shelf where the ancient bow was placed. "Shi, can you identify it?" He wants to confirm if this bow is genuine. Although it is heavy, it can also be fake. Shi, who was lying on his head, had a small hand out of thin air. The next moment, a pop-up window popped up in front of him, displaying the information of Gu Gong. Unexpectedly, the god Bao, sun god Phoenix Bao, is here. She looked at the ancient Bao in front of her and murmured. Chen Hui also looked at the information on the pop-up window, name. Sun god Phoenix Bao, level. Divine/no more. With just this information, and what's going on with this level? Chen Hui asked. This Bao is not simple, and there is no introduction to its origin in the system. We only know its name and surface level. Although this is a divine Bao, it is only the surface of this Bao. The system didn't dare to say how this Bao was discovered, he was afraid that Chen Hui would get angry. Chen regretted speechless and looked at her. Is there a difference between saying something and not saying it?